Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 228 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. Ayaz has disappeared once again, so I'm joined by the fantastic replacement, the former heavyweight world title challenger, nowadays the cruiserweight vegan, Mr. Eddie Chambers. Eddie, thanks for coming on again, man.
Yeah, it's no problem, man. You already know that. But I like the cruiserweight vegan. Maybe that might be my name if I ever decide to go back in again. That would actually be interesting.
But diving straight in.
Fast Eddie, the cruiserweight vegan. Oh, I like that.
Diving straight into the review part of the show, we're going to start here at the York Hall in Bethnal Green, London, United Kingdom. Over here, the Golden Contract Tournament, we got to see Lee Wood take on Jazza Dickens. Obviously, Lee Wood 23-1 going in, Jazza Dickens 28-3. It was for Lee Wood's WBO European featherweight title. It ended up being a majority decision, though, over 10 rounds in favour of Jazza Dickens. It was definitely an upset. Actually, I was happy for Jazza. He's a good guy. He's a character, and he boxed tremendously. He really did. It was a cracking fight. He had Lee Wood hurt, and there was a round. I can't remember which round it was now, but it was quite shocking to see Lee Wood actually get out of that round. And then, of course, Lee Wood came rallying back late on as well. I think it was the final round. He seemed to have Jazza in some trouble as well. So a brilliant fight, that one. So yeah, great win there for Jazza Dickens, the new WBO European featherweight champion. Also on the bill, we got to see Tyrone McKenna take on Mohamed Mamoun, former European champion. That one again over 10 rounds, a unanimous decision though in favour of Tyrone McKenna. Very surprising. That one was for the WBC International Super-Lightweight title. It was quite shocking, to be honest. I didn't actually score the fight, but I didn't feel like I needed to. I felt like Mohamed Mamoun was a massive favourite going into that fight. I thought he may even get Tyrone McKenna out of there, but I don't think Mohamed Mamoun's much of a puncher, so I could see it going the distance. I even backed him to win. I put a little bet on actually for Mamoun to win. He should have won. The commentary team had him winning very wide. It's like they call it the Golden Contract Tournament. Basically, it's over 3 separate fight dates, and there was 8 men to begin with. Obviously, 4 against 4. The winners went on to the next round. So this is like the semi-finals, and the winner of the so the semi-finals, that means there's 4 guys left, so 2 fights on the night, on the weekend just gone. And the first fight took place, one guy won, O'Hara Davies, the guy, and he actually joined the commentary team after his fight, and he said, just before they read out the verdict, he said, it's going to be me and Mohamed Mamoun in the final. But no, to everyone's surprise, a unanimous decision in favour of the man that definitely lost. So quite shocking scenes there, but there was some bad blood, of course, between Tyrone McKenna and O'Hara Davies, so they will be fighting, by hook or by crook, but definitely not in favour of that one at all. Also on the bill, Ryan Walsh was able to pick up a win, 10-round unanimous decision there over Tyrone McCullough. McCullough was down in the 6th and the 9th round, quite wide in the end on points there for Ryan Walsh. O'Hara Davies, like I say, we mentioned him just there. A win for him, a TKO in 6 rounds against Jeff Ofori. Ofori was down in the 3rd round. Moving out now, well, this one actually took place in the same venue, but 24 hours later, couple fights to mention over here. This one was on, I think it was on BT Sport. It was also on ITV, I believe. Brad Foster, the rematch against Lucian Reed. Very surprising, actually, because I think a lot of people had it split. The first fight they had was a draw. A lot of people had that one split. That's what I'm getting at. But the general consensus, if I remember correctly, was that Lucian Reed, most people thought he'd won rather than the other bunch of people thinking that Brad Foster had won. I think, it was about a 60-40 kind of split, but most people, I'm sure, had Lucian Reed winning. Could be wrong, but anyway, in the rematch, Brad Foster, he proved that he went back to that gym, and you could just tell he had something there. He had an extra gear that Lucian Reed didn't have, and Lucian Reed actually just seemed to box with the identical same tactics from the first fight, and it didn't work for him. He was actually pulled out by his corner after 6 rounds, and it was the right decision because he was getting battered in there. Brad Foster now 12-0 with 2 draws. Lucian Reed loses his 8-1 with 2 draws. Again, that one was for the Commonwealth and British Super Bantamweight titles. Also on that bill, we got to see Cody Davies lose his as well. 10-0 going in against Umar Sadiq. 9-1. Obviously, both men shared a common opponent, that being Zach Chelli. Cody Davies actually beat Zach Chelli on points, I think it was, or did he stop him? Can't remember now. But anyway, Zach Chelli beat Umar Sadiq. So again, based off of that, you'd expect Cody Davies to win this fight. But the old saying rang true, styles make fights. Cody Davies definitely didn't deserve to win, and he didn't. He lost unanimously over 10 rounds. Umar Sadiq, a lot of people thought just before they read out the verdict that he might get robbed, but good to see the judges turning the right scorecards there. Also on that bill, friend of the show, Willie Hutchinson moved to 11-0. He had a point deducted though. It wasn't the easiest fight. It was quite scrappy. He had a point deducted in the 5th round, but he won on points over 6 against Edgar Sniedzi, who had a record of 6-29, now 6-30. Also, Dennis McCann returned to the ring, 6-0 now. Quite surprisingly, it went to points because he does like to get his men out of there quite early. Wasn't to be this time. He banked 6 important rounds there against Pablo Narvaez, now 9-20 with 7 draws. Also on the bill, I should mention, Muhammad Ali made his debut. His opponent actually got disqualified in the 2nd round, Stefan Sachev. Not quite sure what he did, but a win there for Muhammad Ali. And also Ryan Garner, he's now 9-0, a points win for him over 6 against journeyman Jamie Quinn. Shout out to journeyman Jamie Quinn as well. That was his 100th loss, so shout out to him. But now, the big one, Eddie, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. Let's start with the undercard real quick. Obviously, Isaac Lowe was on the undercard. Crazy.
My man.
Yeah, your man. Obviously, he was on the show a couple weeks ago. A crazy fight. Adelaide Bird was one of the judges, which we always hate to see. Isaac Lowe did move to 20-0 with 3 draws. He remained undefeated. It was a tough fight on paper because the guy he boxed, Alberto Guevara, 27-5 going in. Really quite famous for his losses. He's been in there with some tremendous fighters. I think I've probably mentioned this a few times on the pod now, but he's been in there with Shakur Stevenson, with Emmanuel Rodriguez, with Yamanaka, with Leo Santa Cruz, world champions, and it was a big ask, really, for Isaac Lowe because his last performance was on the road in Las Vegas again, and he boxed another Mexican, and he looked awful, self-admittedly, last time out. But a win for him here, like I say, and there were 6 points deducted during the fight, 3 for either guy. That one was for the WBC International Featherweight title, but Guevara was down in the 8th round. Again, they didn't televise it over here, but various fouls were going on. But unanimous decision over 10 rounds for Isaac Lowe, Eddie. Very strange scorecards in the end, 96-87 across the board. We don't get to see that too often.
Weird. No, you do not.
Also on the bill, Emmanuel Navarrete, one of my favourite fighters of 2019. He's now 31-1. He stopped Ju Santissima in the 11th round. I actually expected Navarrete to get him out of there a lot sooner than that, but that was a defence there successful of his WBO World Super Bantamweight title. So he saw off the Filipino fighter with ease, really. And the co-main event, Charles Martin, 28-2 now with a draw, a TKO in 6 rounds against Gerald Washington, now 20-4 with a draw. Obviously Washington saw himself on the floor in round 6. It went the way I expected it to. I do like Gerald Washington. He was on the show, I think it was last week. Charles Martin's been on, I think, once before, so I've got loyalty with both guys. But Gerald, I made no bones about it. I said it on last week's show. I want Gerald to win, but it was a tough ask. It seems like, Eddie, when Gerald is under pressure, that saying, the old pressure bursts pipes. It seems to really burst his pipe time and time again when the pressure's on.
Yeah, 100%. Watching Gerald and it makes me want to kick myself in the behind. But watching Gerald fight and looking at the fight he had, and, his first draw he had was with Amir Mansour, and early on Amir Mansour gave him space and let him kind of do what he wanted, which put him in a hole. But then you can see through the course of the fight, he started to pressure him and started to just try things and just throw punches, to just stay on him constantly. And you can see that eventually won him to a point where he really didn't have the offense to come back. And then you see, I can't remember the guy's name, but we like to I call him the big baby. And not actually Big Baby, but it's funny enough, him as well. Both guys, overwhelm him with punches and pressure. And just to go to your point, each time it's happened, it's been a tragic end for him. You know what I mean, in the ring. So every time I watch Gerald, if he wins, he's got space. He's able to fight from range. He's able to use his jab and throw the big shots behind it. But as soon as the guy pressures him, as soon as the guy throws big shots at him, and you can kind of also see his inexperience with it too. It's like dealing with pressure is something that experienced fighters have a better, obviously they're better at doing, better at dealing with. And another thing is, too, with experienced fighters, they understand how to take punishment or punches better. I know it sounds ridiculous, but fighters can accept and receive punches better. They know how to ride with the shots. They know how to deal with, oncoming traffic, so to speak, with punches. And when you look at Gerald, when he gets hit clean with big shots, he takes the full brunt of the punch. There's no riding. There's none of that. And that's just inexperience. And it's sad when you look at a big athletic guy like that had, some potential, and it's just once he gets to a certain point, when they got a guy that's as big as him in front of him and has more skill and more understanding of how to deal with punches and just, boxing in general, it's going to end up ending that way. And I feel bad for him because he's always going to be right on the brink of having an opportunity like he had with Deontay Wilder, and which, funny enough, he was winning the fight with Deontay Wilder, but once again, taking chances, getting too excited, inexperienced stuff.
Yeah, and he pointed it out to me, reminded me once again, it is quite remarkable, the career he's had, because he only had 8 amateur fights, and, he reminds me, he's been learning on the job as a professional.
Right.
Just going to quickly whiz through what I really saw throughout the 6 rounds. I mean, the first round, Gerald Washington was loading up with a lead right hand. He continued to throw this lead right hand. Nothing, he wasn't setting up with a jab or anything. It seemed to be getting through though. But then at the end of that first round, he got caught with a big shot. He was forced to hold on, and he really did hold on. So much so that the referee pretty much had to peel him off. He was staggering a little bit, and the bell came at a good time for him. I still felt like Washington may have actually edged the first round despite all that.
Right. Right.
Round 2, again, a much improved round by Washington. You know, it was cautious but calculated when he was attacking. He made sure he threw 1 or 2 shots at a time and then got out of the way. You know, he was boxing smart, and as a result of that, Martin didn't really have much success at all in that round. Again, Washington, landed some lovely right hands, and he was able to beat Martin to the punch. Round 3, a complete nothing round, really. Probably just, you'd have to edge it to Martin. He was the aggressor, but again, both men had little to no success, really. Round 4, for me, I gave that one to Charles Martin. He landed some heavy shots in the dying seconds of the round. And again, like you said, Eddie, when Gerald gets hit, he does get hit bad, and he looks, he panics a little bit. And again, it's coming back to that factor that he just doesn't deal with pressure very well. Round 5, a Martin round for me. Washington was looking a little bit uninspired at that point. It was a bad time in the fight as well for Washington. It seemed like, a decent start to the fight was kind of slipping away from him. And then, of course, in the 6th and final round, down he went. It was a big left hook from Charles Martin. Washington's arms were down and his chin was in the air as well when I saw the replay. He was wide open, and like I say, down he went. He got back up, but Tony Weeks did the right thing. It's a bad result, though, for Washington. Again, I do kind of ask myself, Eddie, where does he go? Because every time I speak to him, he comes pretty much with the same stuff. He says, I've learned from that loss there. I'm a much better fighter now. If I'd have known what I know now, I wouldn't have lost. And you can't keep really recycling the same lines. It seems like he's kind of found his level. He's a contender.
Yeah. He's at this point, you got to give him credit where you got to give him credit that he's actually made it this far with limited understanding of important aspects of boxing. So you got to give him credit there. But at the same time, like you said, he's reached his ceiling. Maybe, and when you look at a guy who's 37, going on 38, and you're starting to think like now he hasn't had the lengthy career, so he hasn't taken a lot of punishment. So he still has a little bit of time. But if you continue to keep having these kinds of results, people aren't going to want to get behind you. Even if you were losing fights that weren't really exciting, but you weren't getting knocked out, then maybe they can kind of say, well, maybe he just hasn't found his rhythm yet. But the fact that you're getting hit with these shots and getting put down, and it's happening almost regularly when you get in the ring, and each time he lost 4 now, and they have been close in the neighborhood of his last 5 fights. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I know he won one of them that I've seen, and I'm not sure if he has any other. I mean, maybe he has under the radar fought some guys, but it just hasn't been looking good for him. And I think the inexperience and catching up is starting to catch up with him now, and getting into the sport late. It's really, really tough. You got to be an exceptional fighter. And, I'm not saying he isn't an exceptional athlete, but he hasn't been able to get over the hump. And it's sad, but true.
Yeah, and he is a good guy. But, yeah, you're right, 2 wins in his last 6. A good win against Robert Helenius, where he knocked him out.
Yeah, that's right.
But that was I'm not taking anything away from that, but it was a fight he was losing on all 3 cards at the time of the stoppage, and then his other...
How many rounds? What round was it that he stopped? Did he stop Helenius?
He stopped him in the 8th. So...
oh, wow. And he was losing every round, or was he losing just...
No, it was
he was down or something?
Close, but a lot of people think the cards were a little bit too close anyway, but Helenius was winning the fight on the cards, so... yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no, moving on. I just want to mention we did the predictions last week. I went with Martin to win by KO. The listeners went with Martin to win on points. I was quite surprised by that because, like you mentioned, every time Gerald has lost, it's been by KO, unfortunately. And Ayaz went with Washington to win by KO. Also, I forgot to mention Umar Sadiq, of course, beat Cody Davies on points. Ayaz was the only one to predict that and get it right. I went with Davies by KO, so did the listeners, so no point game there for myself and the listeners. And now, of course, move into the very main event here, Eddie, for the WBC heavyweight world title. Tyson Fury going into the rematch with a record of 29-0 with a draw, and of course Deontay Wilder 42-0 with a draw. Wilder down in the third round and the fifth round. Tyson Fury deducted a point, a very questionable point, in the fifth round, but of course the end came in round 7. This was one of the most satisfying fights I've seen for a long time, probably even ever, actually. But I think we're on the same page, Eddie, when I say we're not surprised by the outcome. We're not surprised that Tyson Fury won the fight. I think the surprising element is how he won the fight, how he went on the front foot, brought the fight to Deontay Wilder, and he did something, Eddie. He boxed in a style that no one expected him to do, because it was the polar opposite to what he did in the first fight.
Right. Well, think about this too. And I remember when I was in camp and we were over there, we were working. I remember one time we were sparring, and I was still getting my feet wet and you know, and everything, and just getting used to putting the weight on, and you know, just our overall workload. And let me tell you, the Fury team works as hard as any team in the world. Trust me, barring weight, doesn't matter. But so I was getting used to that process. So you have to forgive me when I'm telling you and how things were going. But anyway, he would different times, he would do different things, and Tyson's really, really talented, you know, when it comes to boxing, obviously. But he can fight in many different ways. And one way he brought up, and he was, you know, we both understand the English style. The English style is more hands up, come forward, pressure, you know, and aggression. Well, one thing that we talked about, and one thing that he did one time when we sparred, he said, I'm going to use the English style on each day. You know what I mean? So I said, okay, yeah, bring it on. You know what I mean? You're going to be right in front of me. I like that. You keep coming to me. I like that. But what you got to realize is when Tyson, and at that time I think he was about 260 or 265 or something like that. And I'm at that time 218, soaking wet. Now, granted, I was bigger and stronger than what I am right now. But regardless of how strong I felt like I was, that weight coming at you, aggressive, with punches and pressure and pushing and mauling, people. It's just really, people do not understand how difficult it is to deal with somebody that big, but with that array of punches. And Wilder, and this is the thing, when I heard him say that, and when I heard how he said he was going to be aggressive, I was like, but then I thought about it, I was like, wait, if he attacks his right hand, and what I mean by attacks his right hand is he's kind of desensitized it. You know, I mean, desensitized it to him as well by letting him throw it. I want you to throw it. I want you to use that dangerous punch that you throw, and it seems to have poison on it to everyone else, but I want you to throw it. But not only do I want you to throw it, I'm going to make you throw it. And not only am I going to make you throw it, I want to make you throw it on your heels, because I'm going to be coming at you all night. So he was attacking his right hand, going at that particular side. I want you to throw it, getting under it, pushing him, mauling him, using that 270-pound frame that he had put on in that fight, particularly for this fight, for this reason. And then also roughing him up, you know, coming with hooking rights, straight rights, you know, just the array of punches, but at the same time not hesitating to push him, to maul him, to make him feel like he was, you know, just in a fight that he couldn't win. And when you look at aggressive, big punching guys, generally the guys are coming forward. And with Wilder, the guys that he fought, like they sit in front of you. You know, most of the guys that he fought and knocked out and had success with the exception of some of these guys. Now, when you look at Arthur Spilka and you look at even Gerald Washington, these guys kind of move a little bit, and they gave Wilder trouble at times. But like Ortiz, even though Ortiz was doing his thing and he was up in the fight, there was always going to be a chance for Wilder to land that big right hand because they sit in front of him. Well, Tyson did it in a different way. He didn't necessarily just sit in front of him, but he put him on his heels. He would come and attack at angles at times. He would sometimes come in straight. He would throw shots coming in. He had him so confused and so disoriented that he had no idea how to attack. And Wilder, another thing that people don't understand, Wilder cannot fight inside. He is not an inside fighter. So the aggression and him getting close just took away any offensive opportunities for Wilder. Then on top of that, he's, like I said, mauling him, hitting him with shots inside, you know what I mean? Then jabbing, then half step back, making Wilder throw. And then he's not a counter puncher either. Wilder is not a good counterpuncher. Did you see some of the counterpunches that he tried to attempt with that right hand? It just looked like, I don't know, an amateur novice. Maybe not even as good as an amateur novice. And I'm not trying to be rude or trying to say that he's not, a quality fighter, a quality heavyweight. You know what I mean? What I am saying is, when you put someone in a position that Tyson put him in, when you take them out their comfort zone, those are the kind of results. Those are the things that happen. You're not able to perform as, you would normally perform. And he doesn't have the ability nor the skill. I'm not going to say ability. He has the ability, but he doesn't use it. He doesn't have the skill. He doesn't develop the skill as he came along to deal with what Tyson was bringing. And that's why the result was the way it was.
Just want to quickly touch on the predictions. I went with Fury to win on points. So did Ayaz. The listeners went with Wilder by KO. So again, no one gained a point there. But let's just talk through. Go on.
I wish you had asked me, because I was going to go with Tyson with mid to late round stoppage. But I ain't trying to throw. I'm not trying to say, I told you so, but go ahead, do your thing, Joey.
I mean, going through the rounds, the first bell went in round 1, and straight away, I was very surprised, because Fury did what he said he was going to do. He said from the first bell he's going to come out and meet Wilder in the center of the ring, and he came out. He was on that front foot. I've got to be honest, I was a little bit scared. I felt it was quite risky. Wilder did land a lovely, big-looking right hand that got through, straight away within the first kind of 25 seconds, and it seemed to not bother Fury, but it definitely connected. It was a big shot, and other than that one shot there, because again, when I saw that shot land, I thought, oh, please, Fury, just. Let's not get overboard. Like let's be cautious. But I mean, other than that one shot, Fury dominated the round. Of course, he landed big shots himself. Again, I felt like it was scary tactics, but a little bit messy at times, a little bit reckless. I felt, but he won the round. Round 2, a couple big shots landed again by Deontay Wilder. A round I thought Wilder may have been winning, but then at the end, obviously, that was where Tyson, he ended the round well, pretty simply. He may have just about snatched it. It was a 50-50 round. I've seen a lot of people since the end of the fight. I've seen a lot of people giving that round to Wilder. So, like I say, could have really gone either way. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. Now, round 3, I mean, unbelievable. Fury was toying with Wilder, and it was a 1-2 combination. I think the right hand ended up just above the ear of Wilder. Some people saying in the back of the head, but down he went. And like I say, I was absolutely stunned, because it was a big shot. He put him down, and straight away I was just thinking, again, I'm so worried about Wilder's right hand. I'm thinking, please don't rush in on him, And that was round 3, so a 10-8 there. Round 4, another Fury round, but a little bit messy. Fury would lean on Wilder in the clinch. I know about those dirty tactics, and I wave them on when it's a fighter I like. Wilder was starting to look a little bit tired already in that 4th round, and that was where his lips started to bleed, his ear started to bleed. Round 5, he was down again, Wilder. That was where Tyson caught him with the left hook to the body. I didn't think that Kenny Bayless was in his rights to take a point there, Eddie. No real stern warnings before he took the point,
Yeah, well, you know how the situation is. You're in the moment. Sometimes things don't go as they should, and he probably got, like I said, caught in the moment and made a really rash decision that he probably shouldn't have made, but it didn't affect the fight. So
thank God for that. Again, I didn't think it would. At that point, I was thinking this ain't going the distance, Round 6, another big round for Fury. At that point, I was actually thinking you've got to give Wilder a lot of credit. He's got dog in him for sure. He's got serious heart. And then, of course, the final round, round 7, Fury was just beating up on Wilder, and the towel came in. There's a lot of talking points. we're going to definitely avoid the talking point about the weight of the suit that Wilder chose to wear. Forget about that. But the towel coming in, Eddie, definitely the right thing to do in my eyes.
Absolutely. Look, there's always going to be speculation of, well, did you stop it too soon, or if the ref stopped it, or did the guy not give him an opportunity to get back? Look, Wilder was tired from round 3 on, and it wasn't so much that he was like exhausted at that point, but it was the beginning of the end for him. You know what I mean? It wasn't just because of the knockdown that happened. It wasn't just because of the the pace of the fight. It was because Tyson purposely put that kind of pressure on him. He was using that 270-pound frame to wear him down. Like, the punches around the side, the arms, laying on his neck, the headlocks, the leaning, all of that's by design. Everybody's so in fear of Wilder's right hand. Well, what happens when you take it away, you disarm him, or you, like I said, you attack it? You know what I mean? And that's what he did. Then he also making him fight off his heels. Guys that are big punchers, they like to come forward. They don't like going backwards. And remember, we know Wilder's not a great counterpuncher nor a good fighter off the back foot, so why not attack him? And he did that, wore him down. And I think Mark Breland made an excellent decision to take him out of there before it got worse. His ear was already bleeding. It looked like he didn't, maybe we thought it was a busted eardrum, thought it was a broken jaw, but I mean, there's probably some major injuries in there that he needs to take some time off for. Maybe nothing too bad, but still, he needs to take some time away. You know what I mean? Because he took a beating, to be quite honest. I mean, we know he got a world-class heart. That's one thing I give him credit for. He has a great right hand, a great big right hand when he's thrown the right way, and he has a huge heart. That's his 2 biggest, assets. But at the same time, that those 2 big assets can also be his biggest downfall. And in this case, it proved it.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the way that Fury put that pressure on him and just went after him and was that aggressive with him was just shocking for me. I just couldn't believe the way he did it. So when he knocked him out, I was completely over the moon, but I was in disbelief at the way he'd done it. Like Wilder's right hand, the way I describe his right hand, it's like even when he's not throwing it, even when it's just he's got it in that kind of position. He kind of keeps it like, I guess, he's got it cocked, hasn't he, his right hand, quite a lot. Even if he's not going to throw it, it's ready to be thrown, and he's quick with it. He's got the power. He only needs to, he doesn't even need to hit you on the chin. He only needs to hit you anywhere on the head and you can go. Malik Scott will tell you about that one. And, he it's almost like Russian roulette. It's like at any minute, this could be it. Bang, like
this gun can go off.
Yeah,
that's
this
right.
gun can go off. That's what it is. So yeah, unbelievable. I feel like that definitely cemented, for anyone that wasn't a believer, that definitely cemented that Fury, for me, is the world's best heavyweight, and I thought that before the fight.
No,
but I was a bit worried going in, because every big Fury fight, I seem to write him off. Well, not write him off, but I seem to get I give a terrible prediction. So these are some of my famously wrong Fury fights. I gave Derek Chisora a massive chance going into their rematch, right? That was terrible.
Yeah, wow.
That was terrible.
You should have asked me, Joe.
Hey,
you should have asked me.
Do you know what it was? Because Derek was coming off quite a good run before that, but boy, oh boy.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I just thought, the pressure, he turned into that kind of, he was really aggressive. But anyway, forget about that. I'm not saying I picked Fury to lose that one, but I'm just saying I thought he'd have a right chance. No. I 1,000,000% didn't give Fury a prayer against Klitschko. I thought Klitschko would knock him out. I thought Deontay Wilder would knock him out in the first fight. So I've got all of these wrong. And then in this fight here, I picked Fury to win on points. And because I was quite confident that he was going to win, I was thinking, oh my God, is he going to now lose? But anyway, whatever. I'm sitting here now. I'm not even joking. I'm sitting here now in my Team Fury hoodie while I'm doing this podcast. So, yeah, I'm pleased.
Yeah. But listen, Joe, you could have just asked me about all those. And look, I've been saying it let's say for the Vladimir fight. I would have been saying that for probably since I was in camp with him, since I sparred him and I had sparred and fought Vladimir, I said I always said the one thing that would make it would be really tough for Vladimir to handle was somebody that would do what he does to other people and be able to do it. And the fact that Tyson's 6'9", longer reach, probably a little more athletic and a little more better, a little better coordinated, not as stiff, but and he has all of the savvy of a normal boxer, a much smaller man. It was just going to be a tough night for Vladimir. I mean, I hate to pat myself on the back or, give myself credit, but that's what happened, and it continues to happen. And I think if him and Joshua was ever going to fight, it would be the same thing.
We'll get onto that in a sec, but yeah, I mean, how bad was the my thoughts that the Chisora rematch was going to be quite competitive. I mean, that was like the biggest one-sided beating ever, and I was at that fight. Do you remember after that fight when I bet you don't remember this. Do you remember after that fight in the corridor? Do you remember that super long corridor they had in that arena?
And it was a copper box, right?
No, it wasn't copper box. It was like, I think it was the XL.
No, not copper box. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep saying copper box. I'm thinking of when I fought Moses Matuvu or something like that over there. I think that's what it was. Ain't that when I fought him? Or
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. But,
no.
But this was when you fought Dorian
remember.
Darge,
Anyway.
right? It was that
right.
It had like a hallway to all the dressing rooms, but it was like a mile long. It was so long.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
Do you remember Tyson Fury after he beat Chisora? We were walking with him, and he was he was walking in this hallway with just a towel on. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that shit. Wow. The wild shit that this boy did, the crazy shit that he did sometimes, it would just make you wonder. Like, he really, like, is there something really wrong with him? But it's just like, he was just comfortable. He's always comfortable in his own skin, so. Wow, but that was wild. Yeah, I do remember that shit.
I remember him just walking around in a towel. I remember you saying, man, it's all swinging under there.
Yo, you better have clothes on under that moment. Yeah.
I'm not sure he did. But anyway, the fight.
Probably not.
The fight, getting a bit lost in my words. The outcome, Fury, Wilder. Obviously, there's talks about the third fight. I don't think anyone wants to see that. I don't really want to get into that. But Joshua's position, obviously, he's got to fight Kubrat Pulev next, it would seem. We want to get the undisputed fight between Fury and Joshua from a British standpoint, of course. That is a massive fight, probably the biggest fight we've ever had. So we'd love to see that one. But do you think, Eddie, that Tyson Fury, again, if he's not obliged to do the rematch and that, do you think he should go straight in against Joshua? Or do you think perhaps Wilder could fight Joshua if he wanted it, and then the winner fights Fury? But then there's a good and bad about that, because the bad is if he knocks Joshua out, that's it. Mm-hmm. There's no big fight.
Yeah. Right. There is that. And that honestly.
In fact, wait. Let me just interrupt real quick and just switch up and say this.
Go ahead.
Let's just hypothetically pretend you're Anthony Joshua. What should he want to do? What should Fury want to do? And then pretend that you're Wilder. What should Wilder do? So who should they fight in that triangle? Who should they all want next?
If I was Joshua, I'm going to start with that. If I was Joshua, looking at and armed with the knowledge I now have with Wilder, I would be somewhat interested in that. But the only thing that would kind of shy me from that and say, well, let me just go to Fury now. But then again, even then, because I don't see Fury losing to anybody. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? And if I'm Joshua, I'm probably thinking the same thing. Anybody else other than me if I'm Joshua, right? So I'm thinking that's going to be intact. But the opportunity for me to beat Wilder and for us two to have the common opponent Wilder and beat him, right? And say if I'm Joshua and I stop, Wilder early or something, that then would make the fight on another level massive. You know what I mean? You might have to have standing room in Wembley too. You know what I'm saying? That's how big, or even in the other arena. I've heard the other arena has even more people. But so I mean, if I'm Joshua, I want to just find a way to make that Tyson Fury fight huge, one way or the other. If it means having to fight Wilder first and take that risk, which I think is a huge risk. But if he's to win, then
it's almost not worth taking.
It is that
big of a risk.
It is, and you have to be 150%, 150,000% confident in understanding of what the game plan is and how to enforce it with Wilder. If I'm Wilder, I'm looking definitely to fight Joshua. Now I'm not thinking about fighting Tyson again, because the way he was beaten, how soundly he was beaten, and then in the first fight, looking back and understanding that if there was some kind of miracle to happen and say the third fight and he caught Tyson and knocked him down and had him hurt and he was on clear street for a while, the fact that if he does get himself together, he can always go back to boxing and still win the fight. You understand what I'm saying? So it's almost a no-win for Wilder with Tyson, in my opinion. The only thing he can hope to do is catch him with a big shot, and hopefully he falls asleep when he does it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing he can hope for, because there's no way, there's nothing that he has in his arsenal, because he's, I don't want to say skillless, but he's very limited when it comes to skill. And we already know that he's not going to win a boxing match versus Tyson. So his best bet would obviously be to catch him. I think Anthony Joshua is a better matchup for him, because Anthony Joshua is looking to get involved. You know what I'm saying? He's looking. I'm not saying that Tyson wasn't. Obviously, see what happened with Tyson. And he's looking to get involved. So he's looking, and he's not necessarily going to do the exact same thing that Tyson did. And even if he did, he might not do it as effectively. You understand what I'm saying? And he messes around and get caught in the middle and get knocked out with a right hand. That can happen. We already seen him go down with Andy Ruiz, even though I think Andy Ruiz is a pretty skilled fighter and really fast and talented. But I still think that it's a really, really, really dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua. And even with Wilder, it's still dangerous for him as well. But, I mean, at this point, he's just got to go for broke. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, he's going to have to make decisions that's going to get him either to cash out or put him in a position to get, reclaim that dominance. And I just don't think it's going to happen with Tyson still boxing. For Tyson, sky's the limit. He can pretty much pick who he wants. I feel like he can beat both guys pretty easily. He already beat Wilder easily, and I'm pretty sure he'll do the same. And I don't want to say I'm certain, because boxing is, anything can happen in boxing. But I mean, Anthony Joshua's style is not good for fighting Tyson. That's just my opinion. So he can. I would if I was Tyson, I would want to go with Joshua, and I would try to get to him before somebody else gets him out of there, so I can make this big money fight and knock him off and be the other guy to do it, and do it in dominating fashion, and then you're just the king. And if you want to retire, you can retire at that point, because you're going to have so much money, it's not going to matter.
I really enjoyed that little spontaneous thing we just did. That was pretty cool, because I mean, I agree with most of what you're saying there. I mean, Tyson Fury, I think he just stylistically, I've always thought he'd have an easier time with Joshua than Wilder, just because of that power aspect, and that's pretty much it. That's the open and shut. So I'd like to see him fight Joshua. I think Joshua's got a better chance of beating, obviously, Wilder than beating Fury. Yeah. And I think, again, Wilder's got a better chance of beating Joshua than beating Fury. So if they were to fight each other, it's just too risky, though, because it really could end up, getting in the way of the Joshua-Fury massive fight. But, again, if you're Deontay Wilder, you don't care about what they're earning. You want that fight. And if Wilder was, by the way, able to knock Joshua out, which very, very well could happen, that probably would get people saying, maybe we want to see the third fight, you know? So, interesting dynamics there. But, definitely for me, Fury is not just the Gypsy King, but the heavyweight king.
No doubt.
That is it for the preview part of the show. We've gone through that not too quickly. We took quite a while getting through that. So, it is now time. Let's end it here. It's now time to welcome guest number one. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBA Super-Lightweight World Champion. It is, of course, Mr. Regis Prograis. Regis, welcome back on the show, my man.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, my friend, every single time. So we last spoke back in November. Obviously, it was just after the Josh Taylor fight. I know you felt that the fight was close. Everyone knows the fight was close. Has your mind changed at all in any kind of capacity since we last spoke regarding the fight and the outcome?
Has my mind changed? No, I mean, I thought the fight, of course, everybody knew it was close. I actually thought I won. I had multiple people thought I won the fight. And I don't like the, sometimes it's hard for me to, say some things because some people take it, they say it's an excuse and all kinds of stuff. So I don't really like to talk about it too much. But since we are, I was just at the Fury fight and, it was more, of course, more English fans there in Las Vegas than it was American fans. And most of the people was like, man, you won that fight, bro. You won that fight, bro. And dudes was coming up to me that was like, I'm Scottish, now you won that fight. And some other dudes was like, I'm Irish, and I thought you won that fight and all that, So I'm just glad that, the outcome is the outcome. You can't change it or whatever. It is what it is. That's how it goes or whatever. But I'm just glad that the English fans really embrace me. They really, really embrace me, and I can't wait to come back over there and fight again. Because the English fans is y'all are like no other when it comes to boxing. And I always wanted to come over there and fight, and one of my dreams came true. That when I did come over there and fight.
Yeah, and you said that before the fight, and you're saying it again after the fight for sure. We loved having you, and of course we want to see you back at some point. But for now, your next fight has been announced. It's going to be against the former WBO World Champion Maurice Hooker. It's on an Eddie Hearn show, right? So you're the away fighter for this.
Yeah, it's the Eddie Hearn show. Yeah, I'll be the away fighter again. But yeah, it's whatever. It's cool. Yeah, but it's Eddie Hearn with Matt Trump, and that's what we're doing.
And obviously the fight takes place April 17th in Maryland. Obviously at one point in 2019, you were champion, Hooker was champion, Ramirez was also a champion. Obviously Hooker lost, you lost. Is this fight about proving that you're above Hooker's level? Because I know there's it has
to be. Yeah, for me, this fight is still proving that I'm the best in the world at 140. Just get my main thing is to get the rematch with Josh Taylor eventually. And so my main is to go out there and prove that I'm still the top dog at 140. And then or if people don't believe I'm the top dog at 140, just to keep climbing and just to keep proving that I am. That's what I want to do. Just keep proving I am the top dog at 140 and. Just go out there and be dominant like I've been doing, basically.
And of course, Ramirez knocked Hooker out. Will you be hoping to do what he did, but perhaps even sooner than he did? I know in a few of your previous fights and stuff, for one point you were getting rid of people quicker than Terence Crawford could do. Is that what you're going to try and do here?
You know what? It's always gonna be in the back of your mind, of course. To get him out of there quicker than Ramirez did. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I think my mind will always change. It'll always change. Like as the days go on, some days I'll probably be in sparring. I'll be a little more confident and think I'm gonna knock him out earlier. And sometimes I might want to box and do different things or whatever. So of course, in the back of my mind, you always think like I'm competing. I'm competing with Ramirez or whatever. But at the same time, and I think he's gonna know that also. He's gonna know that I'm gonna try to beat him quicker than Ramirez did, so I think he's going to be on his P's and Q's with that also, especially after when I fought in Dongo and I got him out of that quicker than Crawford did. So, I know it'll be in his head that, he's going to try to, do the job quicker than Ramirez did. So he'll definitely be on his P's and Q's with that. So for me, it's just go out there and, and fight a great fight and, just get back on the high horse like I've been on.
And I hope I'm getting the timeline right, but correct me if I'm wrong here. Since Hooker lost to Ramirez, he's left his previous trainer. He's now training with, Terence Crawford's trainers like Bomac and those guys there. We've only seen one round of him. He knocked a guy out in the first round. Are you expecting to see a completely different version of Hooker? Because, guys like Jamel Herring, they've gone over to that camp and completely improved in all areas,
Yeah, I mean, probably so, and I mean, like I said, I think he's going to come out. I mean, this is a big proven fight for both of us, like he's going to, he's definitely going to want to beat me, and I'm definitely going to want to beat him. So I think he is, for him to, leave his trainer and stuff, he wants to make a big improvement. For me, yeah, I think so. I think he would come out and, try to make a big improvement on his game plan and on his just overall fight style, and, go out there and, basically try to, beat me or whatever. So I think I think he's going to come out probably better. So my job is to prepare for, the best Maurice Hooker possible.
And obviously we know it's no secret, Jose Ramirez is the guy that you wanted to really fight, pretty much immediately after the Taylor fight. Can you ever see that fight happening, Regis?
Not right now. No time soon. I don't think, either one, Jose Ramirez or Josh Taylor, I don't think they will fight me, anytime soon, So, maybe, I mean, in boxing, you never know. Some things never happen. So, we'll see. But it's still a fight that I wanted. But I think he's probably going to go up to 140, 147 eventually. So, I don't know. We'll see. But hopefully I get it. I still want to fight the best people in the world at 140. And then after that, my goal is to, do my thing at 140 before I go to 147. And, I was a world champion at 140, but I want to get, I definitely want to get my belts back before I move up to 147.
And politics aside and all the rest of it, if it was down to you, what would your next 3 fights be after the Hooker fight? If it was up to you, in what order would the fights be as well?
You know what? I think I would go for like a Mikey Garcia fight at 140. Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor, basically. All Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, either one. I think those are 3 huge fights for me, but of course my thing is I have to, they won't be big if I don't beat Maurice Hooker. I have to beat Maurice Hooker, but those fights to be huge. But I think those are huge fights for me. Like I said, one at, Mikey. I think Mikey will be a huge fight. And he's with Matchroom, he's with Eddie also. And then after that, either if Jose Ramirez still has the belt or Josh Taylor still has the belt, that's what I would want to do. So I think those are 3 great fights. And, hopefully, I can get those fights, and those between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor, they have the belts and, get the belts back like I had. And then after that, that's when, I'll think about going to 147.
Yeah, those 3 opponents I'm sure we'd all love to see. Obviously, Mikey has to take care of business as well this weekend against Jesse Vargas. I want to get your take on Wilder Fury 2. You mentioned you were there. I wasn't aware that you were there, but what was it like to be there? Obviously, must have been pretty crazy.
Oh man, it's crazy, man. Like I said, man, the English fans are so rowdy. I love it for boxing with y'all because you have such a small country, and they just all so rowdy for boxing. They love boxing. It was more English fans there than it was Americans. In for what I saw, unless they was just so rowdy that you had to only pay attention to them. So, it was a great atmosphere. And I mean, that fight was history. It's a historical fight. I'm glad that I was there live. I can always, people go look at those fights forever, and and I was there live. So, I mean, you know what? Fury said he was gonna go out there and just press him from the opening round and just beat him up, and that, he did exactly what he said he was gonna do. He just went out there and he dominated from the opening bell to me. I don't. Wilder didn't have nothing for him. He beat him up, and I really thought that they should have stopped the fight a little earlier because he definitely took some damage. But yeah, I mean, Fury, he did his thing, man. I congratulate him. I take my hat up to him because I really didn't pick him to win. Also, I thought that Deontay Wilder was gonna win. Only because he always has that. He has that equalizer. So I really thought that he was gonna win, but. Like I said, Fury went out there and just, he just dominated. He did what he was gonna do, and congrats to Fury. I hope they can make Undisputed. Hope they can make the Andy Joshua for Undisputed.
You don't want to see you're not really interested in the 3rd fight between him and Wilder?
Not really. Yeah. It could make some sense, but I'd rather see, let's do history. let's see history. Let's see if he can just become undisputed. Basically, that's what I would really want. I really would want to see.
Who do you think could win that one if it were to happen?
I got Fury, man. For me, before that fight, I thought that Deontay Wilder was the best heavyweight in the world. And he's still, of course, definitely still one of them. But, I mean, Fury is just, just his movement and how big he is. People saying he doesn't have power and stuff like that. He doesn't have Deontay Wilder power, but still, I think that, he definitely has power. He's over 250 pounds. So, when you're that big, you have no choice but to have power. And, that's exactly what, that's what happened.
So you got him beating Joshua if that one happens, though, yeah?
I got him beating Joshua. Of course, I could be wrong. Most of the time in boxing predictions, I am wrong. But I got him.
And just finally, Regis, obviously, I like to ask you this every time anyway. Just if you've got any closing words for your UK supporters, like you mentioned, since you've boxed here, you've really grown in terms of your fan base over here. What's your message to the guys that support you from over here, man?
To the UK fans, man, first off, I love y'all. I really just appreciate everything, just all the love I had over there. And I can't wait to fight. I really can't wait to fight over there again. I know I said that, of course, I said, I'll fight, the next 3 fights I can fight, a Mikey and Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. But even, they have like Lewis Ritson over there, so maybe, that could be something also. That can be a fight over there in the UK also. So we'll see. You never know.
We shall see.
But I definitely would want to come. I definitely would want to come back over there to the UK and fight again. Of course, like before my career, is over.
Yeah, and we'd love to see you back, Regis, like I say. But listen, it is always great speaking with you, my man. Thank you for your time. Best of luck for April 17th in Maryland. I'm sure that we'll catch up sometime right after.
Right, of course, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. We're gonna discuss the news at the very end. We're gonna dive straight into the preview part of the show. We're gonna start here at the. Where shall we start? We're going to start here at the Sam's Town Hotel and Gambling Hall tomorrow night in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. Friend of the show, Keith Hunter, of course, the brother of Michael. He was originally supposed to be taking on the undefeated Malik Hawkins, who was 18-0. However, Hawkins has pulled out of the fight, and in steps a late replacement, Sanjabek Rakhmonov. Record stands at 12-2 with a draw. He actually boxed Keith Hunter 2 fights ago, and Keith Hunter won a split decision over 8 rounds. Rakhmonov was down in the second round, but it was a real close fight. Like I say, a split decision. So yeah, they're getting it on again. Hopefully, our man Keith Hunter can win again, and he won't ever have to see Rakhmonov again. Moving out now to the Paramount Theatre in Huntington, New York, USA. Couple fights to mention on this bill. We've got Carlos Takam, 37-5 with a draw. He's in a 10-round contest against Fabio Maldonado, former opponent of Michael Hunter. That one is a 10-rounder. Maldonado 26-3. The main event over there, Cletus Seldin 24-1. He's in a 10-rounder against Humberto Martinez, 33-9 with 2 draws. That one's for the WBA Super-Lightweight title. Moving out now to Spain, the Navarra Arena in Navarra. Over here we get to see Kerman Lejarraga, 29-2. We'll be speaking to the guy that inflicted both of those 2 losses on his record in a matter of minutes. He's in a 10-rounder, by the way, Lejarraga, against Jose de Jesus Macias, who's got a record of 27-9 with 3 draws. Coming down to the final 2 bills to mention, like I say, trying to fly through this as quick as possible. At the PAL Center in Delaware, USA, Hank Lundy, 30-8 with a draw. Friend of the show, he's in an 8-rounder against Ezekiel Fernandez, 28-3 with a draw. And now the final card to mention, at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas, USA. Over here, where shall we start? Let's start with the undercard. Diego Pacheco, the young prospect, 8-0. He's in a 6-rounder against Oscar Riojas, who's 21-12 with a draw. The former WBO heavyweight world champion, Joseph Parker, 26-2 battle. Sean Del Winters, 13-2. Sean Del Winters, interesting character really. 39 years of age, 13-2, 12 KOs. Of his 2 losses, one was a KO loss back in 2017. One was a majority decision. But the good thing about Sean Del Winters, the most impressive thing anyway, is that he went out to Canada and beat Alexander Teslenko, who's a Ukrainian fighter based in Canada, and he was tipped for some pretty big things. He was 16-0 with 12 KOs, I think, and Sean Del Winters, 39 years of age, went out there and stopped him in 5 rounds. It was a big upset. So that has pretty much earned him a shot here against Joseph Parker. It's a brilliant card, by the way, because also we get to see 3, I think is it 2 or 3 world title fights? It might just be 2. Julio Cesar Martinez, 15-1. We know him very well, of course, for beating Andrew Selby, and then of course having the no contest against Charlie Edwards. He defends his WBC title, 15-1. He takes on the Welshman Jay Harris, 17-0. All the best to Jay Harris. Really good fighter. He's coming up against a tough champion though in Martinez. I really hope Harris can pull it off though over 12 rounds. Also on the bill we get to see our very own Cal Yafai. I think that's our longest reigning world champion out of all of our current title holders. 26-0 Cal Yafai. He puts his WBA World Super-Flyweight title on the line against Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, 48-2. Obviously Gonzalez, a lot of people pretty much know he's he's certainly past his best now for sure. It has been a long time though since his 2 losses back to back against Wisaksil Wangek in 2017. It's been a while. It's been a lot longer than I thought. It's been coming up 2.5 years. He's had two fights in that time, and he's won both of them by KO. So he's got 40 KOs on his slate. It's a tough ask there against Cal Yafai. If he wins, he becomes a little bit of a superstar there. And of course, the main event, Mikey Garcia in search of win number 40. He's 39-1. Coming off that loss to Errol Spence, he takes on Jesse Vargas, 29-2 with 2 draws. It's an interesting fight, Eddie. I've got to give Mikey a lot of credit for actually staying at 147. I'm very, very surprised to see him do it, without there being a belt on the line. But I'm kind of guessing he's been a champion at the lower weights. He's obviously been a champion at 140 most recently. So it looks like he's just trying to become a welterweight world champion, so it would seem. But I still am quite a little bit surprised to see him stick around at 147 after such a bad display against Errol Spence. Obviously, Vargas isn't he isn't Errol Spence, and Errol Spence is absolutely huge for the weight, but it's going to be a good fight. Initially, I thought Mikey Garcia would win quite easy, but then I had Jesse Vargas on the show a couple of weeks ago, and hearing him talk, he said a few things. He said, every fight I have, I always bring the action. It's never easy against me. And I thought, you know what? He's right there. This is going to be a complete war, I think.
Right. Well, with Mikey, I really got to take my hat off to him and respect what he's done. He's always trying to put himself in a position to be great. Taking on Errol Spence, at coming from 135 or just going, or 140, I'm sorry, and going straight up to fight Errol Spence, not probably the best welterweight at the time. Either between him or Bud Crawford, and
Let me just intervene
not necessarily
and just say he
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. He weirdly enough, he was at 135. He was world champion at 135. He moved up to 140 and boxed Broner. And then, of course, he boxed for the world title against Lipinets. He then won the fight. And then he moved down again to 135 to box Robert Easter. He beat Robert Easter.
That's right.
And then he moved straight from 135 up to 147 again. He's a bit crazy.
Right. I mean, well, like I said, he's just trying to find a way to almost challenge himself, which is great. I mean, you look at athletes, the top athletes, you always got to find. Sometimes you're not just fighting the opponent, you're fighting, against yourself. You know what I mean? And how difficult you can make it. I know I do some things like that when if I'm in against somebody who's not, not on my level, then you got to find other ways of getting the challenge. You know what I mean? So I respect that what Mikey's doing, and I think that's also part of what he's doing here, staying at 147. He's trying to make himself a welterweight, kind of like what you said. He's going to stick around. And then he's not even taking necessarily an easy 147 fight. He's taking a fight against a guy who, quite honestly, does make it difficult for you. So you got to respect what he's doing. I mean, it's probably going to be a successful night. We're just hopefully he can look good in winning this fight. I don't know about a stoppage. I mean, like we always say, Jesse Vargas makes it difficult on his opponents. But if it would be a statement, for Mikey if he can win this fight in winning, not win it convincingly, but even if he could somehow swing a stoppage, I mean, it would be really, really impressive then, even after what happened with Earl Spence.
Yeah, well, like I say, got a lot of time for Mikey. He is on the intro every week, a fantastic guy, and even more than that, a fantastic fighter. Really, for me, one of the best fighters in the world. Definitely, I actually thought he'd beat Spence. I was really wrong on that one again, but interesting. Yeah, interesting to see him sticking around at 147. It makes it a great fight. Jesse Vargas acknowledges himself that he is definitely at an advantage that the fight's at 147. He was actually thinking about moving up to 154 himself, but he stuck around for this. So very interesting fight, and I think it is going to be a typical Jesse Vargas fight. It's going to be packed full of action. Hopefully we see a great fight, and hopefully the best man wins. So interesting stuff there in Texas. But that wraps up the preview part of the show. We've gone through that a lot quicker than we did the review part in part one, of course. Like I said, we're going to mention the news at the very end. We're also going to mention the prediction league at the very end, because we have gone to the predictions on some of this weekend's fights. So we'll get onto that after the second interview. But before we bring in guest number 2, the final thing, Eddie, is just to say goodbye to yourself. Thank you once again for joining me. It's another time you've saved the day. It's been another Joey and Eddie podcast, and
that's what
I always pass it over to you, and you kind of don't know what to say because you've been in this position about 20 times now.
Nah,
all you gotta do is call.
Yeah, you know that. I mean, that's my thing. All you gotta do is let me know, man, and call, and we set it up. But look, at the end of the day, like I said, talking boxing is awesome. I mean, I wish I could do it for a living. I know at least a lot of guys tell me, hey, why don't you just go ahead and call somebody and see if you can get on one of these shows. It's not that simple, but it's nice to be able to help out a friend, for one, and then talking boxing. This isn't work. This is not work. This is one of the easiest things that you could possibly do. If I can get a job like this, I'd be extremely happy. So, thanks for having me on, Joe. And all you got to do is call.
If any other podcast operators or workers are listening to this, no, Eddie is not available for use. I'm just going to put.
We talk about paid stuff. This is the only free one.
Exclusive. But that is it.
Exclusive. It's an exclusive player.
Oh,
no, go ahead.
Please don't do this. Please don't do the British accent. You don't want to do that on this podcast.
That was not even a British accent.
Listen, well, let me just say that. Yeah, you must be bad at the British accent, because I thought that you were trying to do it just there. That's how bad you are at it.
No, that was not.
All right, wait. All right, let me put you on the spot. Do you want? Are you that confident in your British accent that you want to actually do it on the podcast?
I'm really not that confident in it, to be honest. I just do it because I know it annoys people sometimes. And sometimes it sounds funny. Not that it sounds good, it just sounds funny. Like, there's the voices I can do.
That.
Oh, yeah, of course I'm not going to tell you that. And I don't care if you're listening. I still have a great British accent, whether you like it or not. But to everybody else, no, it's terrible. But it's all good. I'm not mad.
All right, my man. So that is it, though, for the preview part of the show. Just before we wrap up part 2, the final thing to do is to welcome our second and final guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBA Welterweight World Champion. It is, of course, Mr. David Avanesyan. David, welcome back on the show, my friend.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Very good, David. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Now I wait for training.
Excellent. So, David, we last spoke almost 4 years ago. It was back in May 2016. It was just before you beat Shane Mosley. Obviously, a lot of things have happened since then. You know, you've had the fight with Lamont Peterson. You've had the fight with, obviously, Kavaliauskas. You've boxed Kerman Lejarraga twice. Just talk to me briefly about those two fights against Kerman Lejarraga, because you were unbelievable in both of those fights.
Yes. It's first time you say me for fight Kerman Lejarraga. I understand, David. It's your win. It's your win. It's your loss. It's no bad for your career. Maybe finish. And I give for my best for training, for my thinking, everything, for need this win, this fight. I go this fight for my last fight, understand? I go with last fight, everything give. If I win this fight, I recover for my rating for everything better for boxing. Same before lost Kavaliauskas. And I go, my team together, and many people support for me and win, and good win. Many people say, oh, maybe boxing. I need a rematch. Is rematch Kerman win 100%. Many people know report for David win. And now about second fight, David win for first round is now show now again for big way.
It definitely did. And obviously we knew Lejarraga because he knocked out Frankie Gavin, he knocked out Bradley Skeet. Everyone was starting to think he was going to be, you know, a really big threat at welterweight, but you absolutely destroyed him in the first fight and then, of course, in the second fight. So Josh Kelly will be the next man you fight. Obviously, the fight was originally supposed to take place in 2018. When Josh Kelly pulled out on the day of the fight, I believe it was, how difficult was that for you? Because I know it was difficult for the team, it was difficult for Neil Marsh, it was difficult for Carl Greaves. How difficult was that for you?
Yeah, difficult for anybody from my team. It's number one difficult for me. I'm fly for England before fight 6 weeks. Live here, it's hard training. Many people think number one difficult for fight. For me, number one difficult for training before fight. Every day, 2 training, hard training, and you only live, sleep, training, eat, sleep, training. Nothing, not see your family, not see your children, not see nothing. Understand? Is you fly different countries. Yeah, now many years there with England. I have here friends. It's better for before. Before first time they will go, so first maybe 2-3 years is very difficult for me. And you give for your yourself, yeah, give everything. And if before fight 4 hours, people say Neil go say me, David, you fight no fight, you nothing fight. Kelly say bad feel is no fight. I say, you joking, mate? He said no, it's really. It's this time you understand for what you give everything for nothing, understand?
Yeah.
It's your hard training, it's your time, it's your time go, it's nothing, no fight. It's, now I'm happy, yeah, it's fight recovery and bigger, much bigger fight. It's middleweight for London O2 Arena. I'm happy, it's good. I now understand why David need again give hard training for everything, for need win, for me, for my fight, for my family, for my fans, for my friends, everything.
And of course, since the fight was supposed to happen, you've had 3 fights, all 3 fights in Spain. You've won all 3 by knockout. Josh Kelly has also had 3 fights. All 3 of them have gone to decision, 2 wins and a draw. He hasn't looked very impressive lately. Who do you think has benefited more from those 3 fights in between 2018 to now?
No, I never think same. Understand? I don't need my head same for Kelly. Maybe now for slow down, start fight. Maybe now. I know. I won't need noise. I need win fight. I give everything for win fight. For me better for think Kelly now for Kelly feel better for me. Understand? Is I need thinking for Kelly better. Is I need work give on every for my best. For win this fight. I don't think for Kelly points, Kelly draw. It's not possible for me. It's for me I need win. I know. And I don't think for Kelly would fight. Draw is not draw David win KO. Only confident for fight, focus for fight, understand?
Yes.
And only focus for Kelly. Ocho Arena, Mediumweight is they need win.
And you know, like I say, you've had big fights. You've boxed Shane Mosley. You know, you've boxed some very good fighters. Would you say that Josh Kelly is a better fighter than Kerman Lejarraga?
So difficult ask you give me. Is Lejarraga different boxer? Josh Kelly different boxer. Lejarraga very good, aggressive guy, very power. I see for fight before my fight Lejarraga, I see fight is many KO Lejarraga for Frankie Gavin, Bradley Skid. I understand what I go show many fun Bilbao, many fun people for aggressive. Understand? If you go around, is starting first round, Kerman many punches, power. You think Kerman natural power. I think for Josh Kelly and Lejarraga two different fighters.
Yeah.
Kerman go forward for punch for aggressive power. I think Josh, I don't know. I think maybe many for 50 amateur, 50 professional. Understand is for
style.
Yeah, style, elusive.
Very different style. Yeah.
Different. I think for Kerman power fight and Josh Kelly. I think Kerman very for power for Josh Kelly. Understand?
Yeah, for sure.
It's Kerman. You see Kerman statistic 27 fight is 22 lost KO.
Win KO.
Yeah, before my fight, Kerman have 27 fight and 22 KO.
Yeah. No, I understand. Very different
now,
styles.
It's now many Bilbao fans message me every time. Maybe I go London, see you fight. Many fans is, secure now for me, understand?
Yeah.
I now speaking for Lejarraga, Kerman. He's good guy, like Kerman. I now still speaking, message. Good guy. He now have fight 28 February, say.
Okay.
Yeah, he say go. He say I go for London for you, my go see fight. Many Bilbao, many Spanish people fly here. Many Russia, Armenian people, English people, everything go.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I want to ask the pair of you this. Obviously, for those that may not know, Carl Greaves is next to David, helping assist with this. I'm guessing the pair of you must have seen the big fight on the weekend. I just want to get the pair of your reaction to that. Obviously, Tyson Fury bringing the WBC belt back to the UK.
Yeah, it's great for England. I mean, what a massive night that was. I mean, a lot of people wrote Tyson off. Never gave him a chance. They thought that Deontay Wilder would knock him out, but Tyson proved once again what a great fighter is, and he's the best heavyweight on the planet. And now we need to see the AJ fight. That's going to be some fight, that is, and that's what we really need to get on now.
Who do you both think wins that one? Should it happen?
I think Tyson Fury. I just think he's got every trick in the book. He's skillful. He proved he can fight on the front foot as well as the back foot the other night, and we're definitely putting favourite now in that fight. I mean, I can't wait for it. I really hope it happens. It'll be massive for Britain, and it's just great that Britain's got all the belts. I mean, the heavyweight championship of the world is in Britain with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. It's just amazing for British boxing.
Brilliant time to be a fan, of course. And just lastly, David, if you've got anything that you want to say, you can say anything at all. If you've got anything just before I let you go, any last message before we finish?
I want to say for everybody, first I say my family, thank you for support for me, and my friends and my team. Anytime Carl now give Neil, Carl, is everybody. Every time see Carl, number one team England people is Carl. Morning, evening, every day see Carl. It's same for my Russian fans, Armenian fans, and my English fans. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for support for me. I feel and I give everything. I take hard work, training every day, 2 sessions. Is thinking only for fight for. I need this win fight. Thank you, everybody. Say again, it's for David Avanesyan.
Absolutely. Listen, David, it has been fantastic speaking with you again. Also, thank you, Carl, as well. Best of luck for March 28th at the O2 Arena, and we'll speak sometime afterwards. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 228 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive thank you to our 2 guests on this week's podcast, the former WBA Super-Lightweight World Champion Regis Prograis and the former WBA Welterweight World Champion David Avanesyan. There has been 1 or 2 pieces of news break whilst we've been recording the show. Craig Richards has been forced to pull out of his hotly anticipated showdown against Shakan for March 28th due to a viral infection. In steps a replacement though, Chad Sugden. He's the replacement. Obviously many will remember that Craig Richards boxed Sugden to a draw back in December at York Hall. The winner, by the way, of Pitters against Sugden will have to defend the British title against Craig Richards, to my knowledge, after that anyway, so we will perhaps see the Pitters fight against Richards after all. In other news, Josh Taylor's next fight has been announced. It's going to take place at the SSE Hydro in Glasgow on May 2nd. He'll be boxing his IBF mandatory challenger Apinan Kongsong. But that's about it for the news. The Prediction League currently stands at myself in the lead on 24 points. Ayaz and you, the listeners, are both tied on 17 points. There are 3 more fights we've predicted this weekend, so the scores may move around. You, the listeners, have backed Jay Harris to knock Julio Cesar Martinez out. Whilst I'm hoping that happens, I am going against it for the prediction. I believe Martinez will be the guy that gets the KO. Ayaz has also gone with my prediction, a Martinez KO. We hope that we're wrong though, believe me. Also, you the listeners have gone with Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez to KO Cal Yafai. I'm in agreement with that, but Ayaz has gone the other way. He reckons that Cal Yafai will etch out a points decision. And finally, you, the listeners, have backed Mikey Garcia to beat Jesse Vargas on points. I'm also in agreement with that, but Ayaz has gone with Mikey Garcia by KO. That will be the first time Jesse Vargas has ever been KO'd, so that will be interesting. I'm looking forward to that fight the most this weekend. But that's about everything from myself. Thank you all for listening to this week's podcast. Remember to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again next week.